So I would suggest everyone to have a notebook with them so that it will help you to understand what type of questions can be asked. Plus, we will discuss answers also. So this is a combination, guys, of F5 Ltm plus ASM. What type of questions can be asked in an interview related to Ltm plus ASM? We will have different mock interviews where I'll be discussing with you different technologies. So guys, we will discuss first 10 questions, then I will be taking your doubts. If we have time, then we will discuss more. So my agenda is, after interview session, what I'll be covering in this webinar. So I'll be covering the questions where people ask, most of the people in company ask you theory plus practical both. Plus they will ask you scenario based questions. So even you have 1 year experience in F5 or 2 years or 5 years, I'll be covering questions in such a way that you will be able to crack any interview, either related to F5 Ltm, either related to GTM or WAF, that is called ASM. Okay, plus other things we will discuss later on. So guys, my first questions to you is, whenever I take any interview or if I join any interview in any company, so first question people will ask you is, how much experience you have in F5? Whenever you attend any professional interview with any company like Orange, AT&T or anything Akamai, they will ask you this question initially. It will be freshers or it's an experience. How many experience you have in F5? That is the first question you asked. So my answer would be, guys, you must be working in F5 or you must have started working in F5. But you should show the experience in such a way that you can crack it, because people will ask you practical based questions. So whatever question, if an interview asks you, you need to answer in such a way that he can ask you another question from that question only. So experience wise, guys, don't worry. If you're a fresher, you have started working, F5 provides you free lab where you can practice anything, any lab or any features free of cost. That is the first advantage. So for how much experience you have, they will ask you, you can tell you according to your experience, like 1 year, 2 years, and this will be your practical experience, not theory experience. See guys, you must be working, but you must be not working. It depends. Working professional can answer better way rather than non-working professional. Let's say you only understand theory part. You don't have practical exposure. You will not able to crack interview. But my purpose is, even you are a fresher, my videos or my training in such a way is that you can crack any interview. That is a guarantee. Second question, guys, people ask you on F5, which technology you're working. That is the most important question they will ask you in F5. So you should know F5 has different modules. Second question, again, I'm repeating, on which technology of F5 you are working. Let's say you don't have theory knowledge or practical knowledge, you will not able to answer. So you should know that F5 deals with LTM module, F5 deals with GTM module, and F5 deals with ASM module, and F5 deals with APM. So if someone asks you, F5 introduced load balancer as which product? Is LTM a load balancer, GTM a load balancer, or ASM a load balancer? Can someone answer me this question? Module. Which is the basic load balancer module? Whether LTM is working as a load balancer or GTM or ASM. So this type of questions will be asked in an interview. So for this, answer should be F5 has introduced first product which is called LTM. and it is working as your application load balancer. Then what is GTM? So see, you answered that you worked on LTM, you worked on GTM, you worked on ASM, you worked on APM. Now they will ask you question from this. What is the difference between LTM versus GTM versus ASM? That is the second most popular question which is asked in an interview. So LTM, if I tell you, it's called load balance, a simple technique. It's a simple application based load balancer. And GTM is a load balancer, plus it provides you DNS. And DNS also it's provide you intelligent. So answer should be crisp. It should be one line answer. Don't elaborate, sir, I'm working on this, I'm working on this. They will catch you. Answer should be one line or two line. That we need to understand from this interview. And what is WAF, guys? WAF is called your web application firewall, which is also called ASM, that protects from OWASP top 10. You must have been heard about application attacks, or you have heard about HTTP based attack. So whatever application you are accessing on layer 7, that will be protected from ASM. Very important question, which will be you need to understand carefully what is this. Another question is, third question, how many types of virtual servers are there in F5? Please try to understand this question. How many types of virtual servers are available in F5 box? Anyone? See, I might be taking it as a little basics to advanced questions today. But if you want to see basic questions, you can reach out to my course. I will tell you. But how many types of virtual servers are available in F5? My scenario is I have a client. Then I have a firewall. Then I have an F5. After F5, I have 3 servers. Guys, if you leave this, it's your choice. But I will be discussing that questions which are important. So please leave 30 minutes for you. And I can promise that you can crack any interview. So please be muted. Please concentrate on these questions, otherwise you will miss it. My question was, how many types of virtual servers are available in F5? Let's say my customer requirement is, hey Vidit, I want to use all features of F5. That is HTTP layer features. F5 can process HTTP layer 7 packets. F5 can also process TCP, and F5 can also process HTTPS based traffic. And I want end-to-end encryption, guys. In this case, what type of virtual servers we create in F5? Anyone can answer. My question again, I am saying, my customer says that, hey, Vidit, I have an application, SIANETS.com, which I want to publish on F5. I want to use TCP feature, layer 7 features, plus HTTPS also, like SSL. Plus, I want to use iRules also. So in this case, guys, which type of virtual servers I will create? So let me show you practically how you can see what types of virtual servers are available. So I will just log in into my F5 and I will show you. I will go to virtual servers, just go here in local traffic when I create a virtual server, guys. These are the type of virtual servers which you can create in F5. Now my question is, I want to process my traffic layer 7 plus layer 4. plus I want to use SSL also. In that case, which type of virtual server I will create, whether standard, forwarding, performance layer, or stateless, anyone. So don't be shy, guys. This is a session which I'll be making it more interactive depending on your interaction. So in this case, guys, I'll be using answer would be standard virtual server. Because standard virtual server is a layer 7 virtual server in which you can process packets based on layer 4, layer 7 plus HTTPS. Very, very important, guys. Now, someone will ask me, sir, can you explain me what is the use case of stateless protocol? What is the use case of stateless virtual server? Anyone can tell me? I have talked about standard virtual server. No, mostly 95% cases, you will be using a virtual server standard because standard virtual server gives you all features of your load balancer. It is called intelligent. It knows traffic. It knows that I can use HTTP based traffic. I can process SSL traffic. I can use as a load balancer. But my question is in which case I can use stateless virtual server. I have one requirement where customer wants that my traffic is UDP based. Can F5 process UDP based traffic? And in that case, what type of virtual server I should use, guys? Anyone? Should I use standard? Should I use performance layer or should I use forwarding? Or should I use stateless protocol? So in this case, guys, whenever F5 process the traffic on UDP layer, that is called stateless virtual server. What is the difference between stateful and stateless, guys? Is UDP stateful or stateless? UDP is called stateless and TCP is called stateful. Okay, guys, that is the most important question which will be asked in interview. How many types of virtual servers are there? So most used virtual servers are called standard virtual server. But they can ask you difference between standard, stateless. They can ask you difference between forwarding. Now, can someone tell me the use case of forwarding virtual server? Now, my question is, as an interviewer, I am asking you as a question. Let's say Ram is I am taking an interview of Ram. I will ask Ram, can you tell me the use case of forwarding virtual server, guys? See, that is the second question, but I am asking different sub questions from that second question. So what is the use case of forwarding virtual server? Why we use IP forwarding virtual server? So a very good use case comes into picture is, let's say client has a firewall and F5 is coming in between your server, but they don't want to use F5 full functionality. They don't want to change their network. First of all, they don't want to modify your network. They don't want to remove F5 right now, but they don't want to use F5 also. Are you getting me? Please try to understand. They don't want to remove F5, but they don't want to use also F5. In future, it can happen that they can use functionality of F5. But right now, F5 is there. Customer used previously, but they don't want to use now. but they don't want to remove it also. They don't want to change their topology. So in this case, guys, IP forwarding virtual servers comes into picture. And this is called router. When I talk about IP layer 3 virtual server, it works as a router. So what will happen is traffic will come here, F5 will receive traffic, and it will forward the traffic based on your routing table. That's it. So forwarding virtual server, what is do is it will simply forward the traffic to the IP address in the destination field. Let's say customer wants to access 1.1.1.1. So it will just forward the traffic received here to this server. Neither it will do any load balance, neither it will do any encryption, decryption. It is just working as a virtual server, forwarding of the traffic. So traffic will originate, let's say my destination is 172.16.1.100. That is the virtual server which I have created. Now I have a virtual server which is created. Okay. In this case, F5 will review the routing table and it will see, oh, this network is connected directly to me. So it will arrive a traffic here and it will forward the traffic to further on your server. So it is simply working as a plain router. So that is called forwarding virtual server, where you just forward the traffic and you want your F5 to work as a router. That is called forwarding virtual server in F5. Here you cannot use, my question again is here is, can I use full proxy functionality? That is the second sub question from that question. Can I use full proxy for features in my forwarding virtual server? Anyone? In which virtual server full proxy is supported? Out of this virtual server, in which virtual server full proxy is used? Some people might not be knowing full proxy, not worry. We have a videos available in YouTube, you can watch it, but I will ask one question from that. But can someone tell me, out of this virtual server, which virtual server supports full proxy? That is the question they will ask. So in that case, answer is standard virtual server. Standard virtual server is one of the virtual server in F5 which supports full proxy architecture. And what is full proxy architecture? Is you will have two connection. One from client to F5, one will be from F5 to server. So three-way handshake will be built here. F5 has a visibility on both of the traffic. This three-way handshake does not have any dependency on this. That is called standard virtual server, and full proxy architecture is supported. That is, you can use load balancer also, encryption, decryption also, guys. So you will have two layer. One is client side traffic. When I say client side traffic, that is from client to F5. When I say F5 to the server, that is called server side traffic, guys. Next question, guys. By default, F5 is an allowed device or denied device? Anyone? This is the question which is my basic question which is asked in interview. See, interviewer don't know whether you're working or not, but they will ask you some basic questions also to understand your dependency. My question is, by default, F5 is an allowed device or a denied device? And what if it's an allowed device? Can you tell me why? So answer to this is, by default, F5 is a denied device. And how to make F5 as an allowed device? In that case, you will be creating a virtual server. If you don't have a virtual server for any website which you want to publish on F5 load balancer, in that case, F5 will reject your packet. So that is why we say to make F5 allowed device, we will create a listener. And listener is nothing, a simple virtual server. And what is virtual server, guys? Virtual server is nothing. Let's say I want to publish 3 applications. One is SIANETS.com, one is AWS.com, one is Google.com. Can anyone tell me how many virtual servers will be needed in this case? I have 3 applications. My customer is AT&T. He says that I have 3 applications which are critical and I want to configure it in on my F5. So in that case, what will you will configure? That is another interview question which will be asked. I will come into that question because that is a very, very important question. So in this case, guys, you will be creating 3 virtual servers. Virtual server is nothing but it's a virtual IP with your service. Means it's an FQDN of your URL. And your client traffic will first hit your virtual server. Then it will forward traffic to your pool member. So that is an architecture in live scenario. You will have client, then you will have firewall, then you will have F5, and behind F5 you will have multiple servers. So that is the main agenda of your load balancer. And advantage is, first, your application is 24/7 available. Scalability is there. Performance issue you will not get. Plus equal distribution of traffic. Now, let's say as a one practical question I will ask you. Now, question to one of the person in this group. So I will ask question to Ashish. Hey Ashish, can you tell me, I got a requirement to configure SIANETS.com under F5. What are the things you will ask from customer? What details you need from customer? And how you can configure SIANETS.com on F5? What are the things you require? Let's say right now in your environment, you don't have F5. In your environment, you just have a client, you just have a firewall, and you have a server. Now, Ashish, customer says that, hey, do you have any device? I'm facing some slowness issues. I want some device in between firewall and a server which can load balance also, which can do SSL handshake also, which can also improve my performance. In that case, first thing you will suggest Ashish is that I will install F5 in my company. Now, let's say you get an F5. What are the questions you will see in that? What are the questions when you buy a new F5? Anyone? When you buy a new F5 load balancer, what are the things you will ask from a customer? I got a new F5 to be deployed for Orange company. And in that, I need to ask some question from customer. What are that questions? Very, very important question, guys. So I will have 10 points which I will need to discuss here. My question again is I need to install F5 in my company. In my current environment, I want to install F5. What are the questions which I need to ask from customer? Anything. So first question is, guys, I will ask is how many application you will configure under F5. That is the first question which you will ask in from the customer. whether all application will be HTTP or HTTPS. Very, very important question. Or is it FTP based application or is it a UDP based application? Third question is, do you want a hardware load balancer or do you want cloud based load balancer or do you want virtual edition load balancer? Nowadays, guys, every company is switching to cloud and they don't want to use hardware. So that is the third question which you will be asking from customer. What is the fourth question which you will ask customer, guys? Fourth question, guys, whenever you install F5, you need to first ask whether you want to use LTM or do you want to use GTM also. In same load balancer, do I want to use LTM, GTM, and ASM? Why this question is important, guys? Because when you take a license from F5, guys, they will ask you this question. Without license, F5 will not work. So when you buy a license, you need to tell them that I want a license with LTM feature, GTM feature, and ASM feature, guys. Now, fifth question is, how many connections you are accepting? Like at a single throughput, that is the fifth question you will ask. How many throughput is using your application? Because when you buy a box, guys, it has a different data sheet. So when you go to product data sheet, when you have a pricing, in that case, you need to choose the model number. So you will ask them if they can answer you this question. How many layer 7 requests per second they are accepting? How many layer 4 connection they are accepting? That is a very important question which you can ask from your customer. How much throughput you want from F5? Because every box when you buy, you will have a throughput. So that is another important question. Another question you will ask is how many TPS, transaction per second, SSL? Because when you buy a box, guys, these are the important question which you can ask. If they don't know, that's okay. But you need to ask this question from your customer. Okay. So that is how your license. So I will show you the license, how it looks like. When you go to the system tab, license tab, you can see this. So generally, your trial license, it has all the features. But in production environment, guys, if you have only bought LTM, you will see LTM license. But here you can see routing license, APM license, DNS license, and you can see advanced WAF. So this question can be asked by an interview. How, let's say you are a working professional and you want to check whether which features of F5 you are using by a customer. So that is how you can see. You need to go to system tab, license tab, and you can see. So your trial license generally support all your features. LTM, GTM, ASM. Now, another question from here, which I will ask you. Let's say, guys, initially customer says that I only want to use LTM. Please try to understand fifth question of the day. Customer only want to use LTM right now, but he will say that, hey, with it, I want to use ASM also. I also want to use WAF license. Later on, I don't know right now. Right now, I only know that I only use LTM. But in future, I might get a requirement to use ASM plus GTM. In that case, guys, how you will handle? What is the feature you need to look here? So that is answer for this is a resource provisioning, guys. So when customer says that I only want to use LTM right now, in future my requirement is I want to use GTM and ASM. So in that case, guys, you also only need to select nominal, guys. Now, question will come in an interview. What is the difference between nominal versus dedicated versus minimum? So when customer want to use LTM right now, in future it comes GTM and ASM. In that case, you should always use nominal. Nominal means, let's say your total box RAM is 8 GB. So it will allocate 4 GB to LTM. Rest 4 GB will still be left. So it will assign minimum resources to operate your box. In future, you can accommodate more also. Let's say today I have bought a laptop of 8 GB RAM, that is called nominal, and I want to increase to 16 GB. I can do that in nominal. So in production environment, guys, you should always use nominal. So that are the questions which you will ask. What is the sixth question you will ask from customer is, how many servers you want to use behind F5? For a particular application which I want to use for load balance, how many servers I need to deploy? So let's say in our environment, when I do a lab with everyone in the class, I use F5 plus 3 servers behind F5 to show you load balancing. So particular application, they can give you that I have 3 servers, I have 4 servers, I have 5 servers. That are called your pool member. When I say servers, that are called your backend server. Some people will say pool member. Some people will say application server. So don't worry on that part. Another question which you will ask from a customer is, what is the health monitor you want to use? Whether TCP health monitor, HTTP health monitor, what type of health monitor you want to use? Eighth question you will ask is port number. You have a server, but they are listening on 80, 443, 22, or 21. Because when you create a virtual server, guys, I will show you. When you create a virtual server going to local traffic, you will have a port number. So every virtual server has a service. If it's an HTTP based application, then it will be 80 port. If it's an HTTPS based application, then it will be having 443 port. Okay, guys. Now the sixth question for you guys. What is the difference between client SSL versus server SSL? Anyone? I have a virtual server with both this profile. What is the difference between client SSL versus server SSL? Quickly, guys, what is the difference between them? That is another important question which will be asked in an interview. Difference between client SSL, server SSL. So answer to it is, my customer says that, hey Vidit, I have an application SIANETS.com that is listening on 443 port. But I have a backend servers which are listening on port 80. So in that case, guys, client SSL means whenever there is client coming into picture, it means this connection, client to F5. When they talk about server SSL or server side connection, that is from F5 to server. And when I say client SSL, that is between client to F5. So when I only use client SSL profile, that is means I only want to use this as an encrypted connection. So client SSL means only I want client to F5 connection, which I will be accessing on HTTPS. Let's say my virtual server is this. This traffic from F5 to the server will be plain text. So that is the meaning of client SSL versus server SSL in F5, guys. Very, very important, guys. And in F5 terminology, when I say client SSL profile, that is called SSL offloading. So customer can ask you difference between client SSL offloading versus SSL bridging. This is the question which they can ask you in an interview. What is the difference between SSL offloading versus SSL bridging? Okay, guys. Very, very important thing. Now, my next question to you guys is, I have a certificate, SSL certificate, okay, which is bind to my F5. I have an SSL certificate which is bind to F5, but that is got expired. Will it cause outage? Anyone? I have a SSL certificate for SIANETS.com, which is on F5. This URL is hosted on F5, but that certificate got expired. Will it cause any outage? What can be impact? If a certificate get expired, will my website stop working? So guys, in that case, you will have a risk that your website can get hacked. So in that case, guys, how you renew an SSL certificate? Can anyone tell me? Let's say I want to renew SSL certificate on F5. How you can renew it? So that is the best way which I am telling you guys, you need to follow that. So first, when you get a certificate expired, you will ask your customer or an application owner to give you new SSL certificate and key. So that is the process which I am explaining to renew your certificate on F5. First, get a new SSL and certificate key from customer who has given you or who is a application owner. Second, you need to import that. How to import a new certificate and key, guys? You need to go to system. You need to go to file management SSL certificate list. So in this, guys, you will be importing. So you will be selecting either a PKCS, where you will be getting your certificate name and the password from the customer. So generally, my people ask me many questions many times that, hey sir, F5 accepts which format of certificate and key? Like when I ask customer in which format I should request certificate and key, anyone guys? When you ask a new certificate and key from F5 or from customer, in which format they should give you so that you can import them. Anyone? Very, very important question, guys. If you can answer this type of question, I can guarantee you, you can crack any interview. I will have regular sessions from now onwards because this June, July, August, many people will think of changing the job. So that is why we have finally initiating this process. So when I say F5, F5 uses SSL certificate and key in a PEM format. So you should ask your customer to give certificate and key in a PEM format with .crt extension. So PEM is the most common format which is supported by F5, and it should be asked from your certificate authority. So that will have a base 64 encoded file, which will contain certificate and key in the same file. But let's say you renewing your certificate from your server, application server. They can also give you certificate from IAS server or Apache server that is supported PKCS format. You might be saying PKCS 12, or you might see there are some format where they can give you .pfx or .p12. So F5 supports both the format. First, try to get PEM format with .crt extension. If they are not giving, then you can also ask for PFX. Once you get a PFX format, guys, just add here, choose file and import. So that is how I import it. So you will see certificate and key both. Now you have imported new certificate and key. Now what is the next task, guys? My first task is finished. I have imported new certificate and key. Second task, guys, would be, do I need to create new profile and call this new certificate and key? Or can I change in a current profile and just call this certificate and key? What do you think, guys? Do I need to create a new profile with new certificate and key? Let's say that my virtual server for SIANETS.com is this. I will check my profile. I'm not using, let's say I will use this profile. Okay. I will say 443 and I will update. So first, you should also look what is the profile called on that virtual server where the certificate is getting expired. So then only you can see. Now you will go to profile, SSL client. So this is the profile in which certificate gets expired. So always, guys, never create a new profile. When you got a task to renew any certificate, you should always change on the current profile. Just whatever certificate and key you imported, just call here. New certificate and key, just call here. That's it. No, nothing you need to create. Just import new certificate and key and call on your current profile. That's it, guys. That is the best way to renew your certificate and key. Okay, guys. And these questions and this task you will get every time that I have to renew the certificate and it's getting expired. So that is how you can do. Now, let's talk about two troubleshooting questions. Okay. Let's talk about two troubleshooting questions which can be asked. Let's say, guys, I have an F5 management IP 192.168.137.60. I want that only subnet 192.168.1.0 should able to access this F5 GUI. Like when you are in production company, guys, you don't want your F5 to be exposed to everyone, correct? I want to limit my GUI access. I want to permit only few IPs to access this management IP, or I want GUI access to particular subnets. I don't want this to be exposed on internet. So I want to filter by IP address, guys. So you have 4 options, guys. First, you need to go to, so who will answer this question, guys? Today I will give 30% off on all the videos. So I'll be asking 2 questions, and whoever answer this correct, I will give you 30% off on any videos on our skilled inspirational. So option is network packet filter, B, network platform, third option is system packet filter. My question is, I want to limit GUI access. I want only subnet, one subnet to only access GUI, and he can only access my SSH access. Or next is system platform. So note down your answer, and I will see whoever first answer it, I will give you 30%. So note down your answer. Okay. Second question for you guys. Let's say you are an F5 admin, guys. You are Shyam. You are able to access one of F5 in your company via SSH also and via HTTPS also from your local network. Please understand this question. You can access your F5 via SSH, via HTTPS. CLI is SSH, GUI is HTTPS from your local network. But you are not able to access F5 from different network via SSH. What can be the issue? From your local network, you are able to access F5 from SSH and HTTPS, but you are not able to access your F5 from different network via SSH. So what can be issue? Whether it's an issue with port lockdown, whether it's an issue with packet filter, whether an issue with management route, or whether an issue with SSH access. So please note down your answer. Okay, so this is the second question of the day. Third question for you guys. You generally log in into F5 via TACAS, or let's say via Radius. But you also want to enable local authentication also as a backup. My question is, you generally log in into F5 using TACAS, but you also want to enable local authentication as a backup. Let's say if a remote authentication gets failed, you should able to use local authentication. What configuration needs to be enabled for this in F5? A, priority group activation. B, fallback to local. C, local backup, or D, local authentication? Guys, these are the questions which are asked in certification, or these are the questions which can be asked in interview. So this is the new strategy by me, which I have developed. So I'll be discussing this type of question. 100 questions is my target. This July and August, I'll be taking regular sessions and it will be free of cost. But the videos will be uploaded in our portal only. So you need to download our application and watch it. It not be uploaded in YouTube or any other way. So I'll give you the link, you can download. So our all interview videos will be uploaded in this application. So you can go to vncph.courses.store and here I will be uploading. So I'll be giving you the link to access it. You can go ahead and access. I'll be sharing you the link also of my application. You can just go here and use this web.class+app.com. You just need to log in and download our application from Android. Our application name is Skilled Inspirational Academy. It's available in Android versus Google in both the platform, Android and iOS. You can just log in and you can watch different courses available.